Happy Tuesday, lean friends, and welcome to another lean coaching for lean coaches. Hope your week has kicked off well. I am ready and raring to go. I hope you are as well. And man, we're in for a real treat here today as we have another fun filled live lean coaching session. And as always, how we do this thing is bring on another lean coach or practitioner who has a challenge that they're working through and help them get some clarity, take action, and be able to move forward even just a little bit in their journey. And if that's something that you could use support on, man, that's what I do. I love doing it. I got a passion for doing it. Seeing folks do that in their journey is what I'm all about. So if that's you, you need that kind of support. I'm here for you. Please shoot me a DM and we can have a conversation about what that support would look like. But for what you're all here for today is that live lean coaching. And I'm excited to bring on a friend and fellow lean practitioner on the journey, Miss Ruth Stanley. She is an author. She is a lean coach and consultant and practitioner and just an all around great human being. So, Ruth, good to have you here today.
Hello, Sam. Happy to be here too.
Well, hey, for those that aren't introduced to you before or aren't connected to you, of course, we're encouraging everybody to connect with you because you're just, man, just a light in this world of lean. Just let everybody know what you're about right now and what's going on for you. Or let's just start with who you are and what you're up to these days, and then we'll dive into what's got you here.
So, I'm very excited about lean and its possibilities. And I come to lean from a bit of a non traditional background. And my main thing that excites me at the moment is creativity, that you cannot have continuous improvement without some kind of creativity. And my main issue is that people don't necessarily think of themselves as creative. They'd rather look at lean and continuous improvement from a waste perspective and more traditional tools.
Well, I think this is a great conversation. I'm sure lots of folks who are watching or be watching the replay can have kind of dealt with this dichotomy, for lack of a better word. Folks, if you're in or you're coming in after and you've got something to share, please do share where you're coming in from and your perspective on this. We'd love to hear from you on this as well. So that's of course your perspective. What where where are you kind of looking to get to? Like, what's your ideal scenario here that you're really wanting to get to that you're struggling to get to right now?
One of the issues for me is this is my passion. Creativity is my passion. When I'm coaching, am I just
Yeah.
manipulating people into think the same way as I do? And how do I sit back to let people get there on their own or do something different?
What what would you see as like the ideal, like, for your practice, or what you want to create as as a coach, practitioner, consultant? What is your kind of ideal scenario that you'd like to have if you could, like, in your practice or in your work and coaching?
So for me, I believe that everyone's lean journey should be personal. And how do I ensure that that journey is personal and not just something that I'm making people go through? Whether that's trusting the process and using traditional tools, or whether it's building in other tools, which can include creativity tools. Maybe it's how to meet people where they're at rather than where I want them to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're working with folks, how do you meet them where they're at? Now, how do you know, like, obviously you've been doing this for a few years. So how do you know what that looks like? You've experienced that before, I'd expect. So what does that look like? What does it feel like when that's happening? Because I'm sure you've been in that space and you're like, oh man, this feels so freaking good. And the people are getting something out of it, right? That they're moving forward, they're feeling some kind of good way. Tell me about those kind of experiences and what that's like, what that looks like for you.
So, as you're working with someone or in a group, you kind of get a feel for their reactions to what you're saying. And you can tell when there's some kind of resistance because people can move back or they seem to
Yeah.
tighten up or their eyes go off into the distance like, yeah, I know what you're saying, but just leave me out of this.
Yeah.
And then you can also see the people are going, "Man, I get what you're saying. Yeah, let's go forward." And it's the people that are more resistant, that you have to work a little harder with. And sometimes you just stand on your head and you'll have someone say, "Well, that was entertaining."
Like a clapping seal at a circus.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm wondering how can I move the people who are a little hesitant to dip their toes in and to have them move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you want from them? Like so what is that dipping their toes in like? I guess I'm just wanting to get that picture of what you're hoping to see, so that we can kind of move towards that.
So what I'm hoping to see is that dipping their toes in means not only trying lean tools, but pushing a little farther to think about new tools or even beyond tools to go
Mhm.
for more of a principle-based look at lean. Yeah.
And who are these like people just for context? Are these like individuals? Are they leaders? Are they in any particular industry? Like who in particular are you kind of looking at in these scenarios?
Ordinary people. Yeah. Ordinary practitioners, yeah.
So are these like frontline leaders? Are they actually lean practitioners? Or who?
For me, these would be more, frontline leaders.
Okay. And are you typically working in an organization with a number of them at a time? Is it just individual people who might be reaching out for support? Who's your people that you're
So far, it's been people in organizations.
okay. So you're working with kind of the whole organization, and then you have some folks in there that might be struggling to kind of engage in the practice or like
Yes.
a daily
Yeah,
management system or something like that.
actually more people who are already practitioners and may have an interest in more creative solutions.
Okay. And what's so you're wanting to see them get more of in feeling more energy and practicing it and not having that resistance to moving forward or
More of that resistance to using or trying new things rather than going back to the traditional, basic tools. Yeah.
and so where are you at right now with things like with the typical person? It sounds like this isn't just like a one-time thing. You're kind of experiencing this pretty consistently, or what's I don't want to assume, so maybe just tell me more about what you're experiencing right now.
Uh, I'm experiencing, a variety of reactions, and there are the ones who go, "Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. I
Yeah.
love this new way of thinking." And then there are the ones, as I mentioned, that does not compute. And then there are the ones that are the possibles, and I'd really like to work at how I reach these people who are hesitant to go away from the traditional
Mm.
process-oriented, waste-oriented, to look at different possibilities and options. And at the same time, I'm wondering, am I just, as I said, manipulating them into thinking the way I do? Yeah.
And maybe you can walk us through like a typical like maybe a recent conversation with one of these folks, just to get an idea of like how that's gone, so that we kind of have a better idea of what you're experiencing.
There's so many different reactions, it's a little difficult to say. Um, yes, as I said, I'm experiencing people who go, "Okay, that sounds like an interesting idea," but they're not ready to, take it back to their own workplaces. That there's something that they're saying, I'm not sure. I like this idea, but I'm not sure if that's something I can bring forward and talk to other people about. And I'm not sure how to have people get to that next step.
So you'd like them to be like wanting to share more, like rather than that's like what you're looking for
Yes.
from that energy. So when you're in those interactions, are these like presentations? Are these like one-on-one conversations, a small group? Like what's the context for when you're experiencing these things?
So it's mostly presentations in a form of a workshop.
Okay.
And so my workshops are generally with a broad spectrum of people. And I'm finding it difficult to get them to that next step where they want to actually share what they've learned and actually use it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's great. Like having that picture of okay, like this is
Mhm.
what would be great. Like if they're out there like sharing it with their people that they lead would be kind of your ideal scenario versus like meh. Um that's great. That's great. That's a great picture. So when you're doing the workshops, how
Mhm.
many people are you like in front of? Two people? Are you in front of like 220? Like what's the
Oh, it's been all different, most has yeah, so I've done it with 200 people, but mostly it's, about 20 people, 15 to 20 people, which is actually really quite comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's really quite comfortable that people can start to broaden their minds to use, uh, different tools. Mostly, different creativity tools that, they haven't been exposed to in the lean world, and I have seen that again, there are 3 types of people, and it's the ones that are mildly interested that I'd like to find
Yeah.
ways of pushing past that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think you are definitely not alone. And I know Pierre has chimed in, and thanks, Pierre. Like all folks have different starting points. Absolutely. Right. And
Yeah.
we know we have all these different perspectives. And, as passionate practitioners, we want to see people, you know, grab onto this because we've seen how beneficial it's been for us and for others that we've worked with or been encouraged by or we've supported. So we
Mhm.
want to see that same thing for others. So that totally makes sense. And you have these different experiences. I'm wondering, like in these workshops, like maybe tell me a little more about how those workshops typically go. Uh,
From what sense? From what I'm trying to do
Yeah,
or
just
how
like what are you so maybe tell us about just in general, like the format and then like the so you're seeing some reactions that you're not wanting, right? So maybe tell us about the like what you're providing, like yours, because we're kind of hearing the side of the reaction you're seeing. What are you presenting, and then what's coming on after that? That's giving you this feeling that people aren't engaged.
so typically what I do is I don't come forward as an expert on creativity. I want people to
Okay.
find out for themselves. So it's generally an interactive um, type of a workshop where it's think of something that you want to do,
Yeah.
not necessarily the future state. So in lean, you've got where are you now and what's your future state.
Yep.
This is more about forming an intention of what is it that you
Mm,
want to do and what is it that's important to you, and to
yeah.
start thinking about ways of coming up with ideas. So this is the idea generation part of things. And it's through those ideas that you can start to build a future state. But it's how do you think about what it is that you want to do, what's important to you, and then start using creativity tools to generate new ideas. And it's once you've generated new ideas, it's when you can start to build that future state. Because the assumption is that when people have a problem, they don't necessarily know what that future state looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of can get stuck in the spinning of how bad it is, and it's hard to think of possibility.
That's exactly what it is that I do. And it's to get people excited about pushing their notions of what is and what could be. And
Yeah.
some people get it, and some people say, "Well, where are the where's the waste? We can't be doing that,"
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Moving outside of just those the hammer and the wrench and the pliers, right? Like we need some ways to thinking of creation and what's possible. Um, what do you in your experience, what's been your like what have been the biggest challenges, the moving these people that you're feeling this challenge with? What do you feel like's the biggest challenges you're that's keeping that from happening?
Maybe it's professional methodology, is that, many professions, they have their own methods for coming to solutions, and it's very hard for some professionals who are ingrained in a certain method to push outside that method. One of the problems with the method is that trust the process.
Yeah.
And what happens if your process doesn't allow you to get to a different solution?
Yeah.
So if your pros if you, it is this process mind is if you follow the process, everything's going to be good.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So how do you break through that mentality to say, okay, this process is coming up with tired solutions?
Yeah.
How do you break that process? How do you think beyond that process, or how do you think differently? And that professional um, method they've been indoctrinated into for years, and it's a passion
Yeah.
for them. That's who they are. How do they break out of that and
Mm,
try something different? Lean is all about experimentation, But that mindset could be, well, let me experiment in the way that I'm used to experimenting also. Push people to say, okay, this is the way you always did this. Try something new. That's hard. It's like behavior change.
Oh, come on, Ruth. That's simple. If you've had kids, you know it's so easy to change that, let alone, people have been doing something for 30 years. Come on, get with the
Yeah,
program.
really. Eh?
Just, read a couple of social science books. You'll have it all down pat in no time flat. So yeah, absolutely. That change management that, especially for folks who've been practicing, if you're an engineer,
Yeah.
that an
Mhm.
analyst mindset, you've got a certain way of thinking, and we practiced it for a while. And we've seen maybe some great benefits to that, in our time. So why would I change? Right. It's worked for
That's right.
me. So hmm, what's the biggest obstacle then that you need to overcome to be able to get to where you want to get to right now? What do you feel like's the one thing, the nut that you haven't figured out how to crack, that you are like, man, if I could move through this, that'll help me get to where I want to get
Mm,
to?
that's a really tough question. Um, Maybe credibility. uh, in the lean world, you need to be certified. You need to be a black belt or a master black belt, even a green belt. If you know those principles, but you haven't felt the need to certify, you wanted to look at various different methods and not get stuck with one. It makes it a little bit harder to have that credibility.
And credibility with who?
With people who are looking at going further with, as you mentioned, maybe individual coaching. Yeah, that's a bit of a barrier. And for me, I don't want to be stuck with any one method, as you probably can gather through,
Yeah.
through this. Yeah. So for me, to be able to pick and choose among methods to enable people to see that there may be many different methods to get to where you need to go for um, solving your I was going to say solving your problems. That sounds kind of big, but solving a particular problem uh, is what's important for me. And as I mentioned,
Mhm.
that's the way I see the world. Not everyone does.
So my wonder when you said the word credibility is,
Mhm.
who are you looking for that credibility from? Right. Because like you've done this enough, and folks who've been on here have done this enough. We know
Mhm.
there are literally as many different companies that offer certifications and belts and all these things. So anybody can go get one for $5 or $5,000. You can get one free on LinkedIn, all these things. My wonder is, why do you feel like credibility is the obstacle? What is,
Maybe that's my own barrier. Yeah, maybe that's my own barrier. That's my own thinking. Is maybe people, you always second guess yourself as a coach, and maybe that is my own barrier. Yeah, could be. Huh. That's really profound, actually. Yeah, just get out there and make it happen. You change one person at a time. Huh?
Well, I can't relate to that idea at all, Ruth, and I'm sure nobody else here can as well. So you're all alone on that dealing with credibility piece. So just so you know. Um, no, so I think in all seriousness, though, I think we can all relate to this, and it's very deep. You know, it's very deep for so many of us, and we can run from that. Like it's very easy to run from like, oh well, if I just got this, that, or the other, and maybe I don't know. Like I don't have any answers on that, but I just know that we can think the answer is if I get this, that, and the other, then I'll get more clients, or then somebody will think I'm someone, right? So I'm wondering though, as we're kind of wrapping up, and this has been really good. Um, what's one thing that you can go out and try to move through this challenge with what you've just surfaced around credibility? What's one thing you could go do maybe 10, 15 minutes today that could help you take a little step forward on that?
Actually, maybe look at, and this is something that we encourage our own clients to do, is to sit back and look at my own successes as
Mm.
a thought leader, actually, and say, I have something to say, and I've been building a following, and concentrate on that rather than wondering what else I should be doing. Yeah.
And what would that look like for you to look at your success? How does that look like for you to do that?
At the very least, I guess, looking at my stats, right?
Yeah. Is stats of what kinds of things?
Stats would be as, the number of, contacts, the number of people looking at my coming to my presentations, the number of people reacting to LinkedIn posts, the number of a little bit more difficult, maybe the number of new ideas or new exercises that, I've been able to put together for coaching. Um, just having an idea of my success rather than wondering if my formula is any good. Maybe that's it.
There we go. And what do you expect from this processing and reflection and looking at your success? What do you expect from that?
It's another deep question that I probably have to think about for a while. Uh, actually, as lean practitioners, that reflection is always good. But rather than having it run around and round in my head, to reflect rather than what I could, should have, or might have done, is to start taking those reflections and those good thoughts and
Mm.
actually using them.
Mm. Well, Ruth, you've done some good work here in 30 minutes, just going and being honest and vulnerable. I think it could be easy to look for the canned solution to go do this, that, or the other, but you've really gone in and done some deep work. And I know there's more to come, but thank you so much for being open and vulnerable and honest. And I'm really looking forward to hearing how this reflection goes as you look at your success, and then what comes from that after, and where this goes from here. I think we'll all be excited to be cheering you on. And of course, everybody, please connect with Ruth. You can see that she doesn't just like say, okay, go out here and do this. She's actually practicing it. And that's, to me, what's the most telling thing about a practitioner, is not just that, like, hey, here's all the tools, here's all the activities. She's actually diving in and doing it. And of course, you want to be connected with someone like that. So please reach out, connect with her, start a conversation, and get to feel this energy. Man, I'm just feeling some kind of tingle right now. So thank you, Ruth, for being here and sharing that. And of course, if this is the kind of experience that you like to have, this is what I love to do. And if you need that kind of support, please reach out. I'm here for you. And on Thursday, I'm so excited. We're going to have another great conversation around. I'm hearing from lots of folks, practitioners, about, okay, how do I move from having a connection on LinkedIn to having a meaningful and warm conversation to having a call to having them as somebody I support as a client. We're going to talk about that second part. How can I have a meaningful conversation and do it on LinkedIn? This is going to be, I'm so stoked. We're going to have a lot of fun on Thursday. So please be here on Thursday. And once again, thanks to Ruth for being here. It's been a super fun time today, y'all. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and we will see you on Thursday. Take good care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.